What can we expect to be happening in the Houses of Parliament just behind you later today?
Morning to you, Belle, and happy Valentine's Day. Question here is how much love there is for Theresa May and her withdrawal agreement here in Parliament. The last time it got put to some level of a vote, it was a triumph for Theresa May. It carried with a majority, her first in months, but only because she supported a controversial amendment that sought to delete the dreaded Irish backstop. Today, though, MPs know that there's been little progress on actually achieving that, and many of those Conservative Brexiteers who she got on side last time are talking quite openly about a change of heart on whether they will back her today or not. There are other potential amendments going forward as well. We don't know exactly what they'll be until later, and important to stress that any votes happening today are symbolic votes, but they will paint a picture of likely success whenever the withdrawal agreement next comes up for a substantive, a meaningful vote here in Parliament. But exactly when that will be, well, nobody's quite sure, other than to say it won't be anytime soon.
And meanwhile, there are plenty of people on both sides of the debate frustrated at the lack of progress, aren't there?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've heard from the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk. He tweeted yesterday about his frustration at the lack of concrete proposals coming out of London. And indeed, many of the diplomatic service here, 40 former ambassadors, have written a letter to Theresa May calling this a national crisis and a fiasco. They say, our advice to Theresa May today is clear. We should not leave the EU and we have no clarity about our final destination. But if you look at developments of the last 24 hours, you wouldn't think there was any crisis. You know, yesterday in the cabinet meeting and at Prime Minister's questions, yes, Brexit was obviously talked about, but it certainly didn't dominate. And you wouldn't believe some of the other issues that did actually get airtime. One Conservative MP actually asked the Prime Minister if there should be a ban on the consumption of dog and cat meat. So you wouldn't think that Britain was staring into the abyss and the likelihood of throwing up trade barriers with its biggest trading partners in just around 6 weeks' time. And that kind of ostrich mentality really does, add weight to the theory that Theresa May is simply trying to wind down the clock on all this, hoping that if a vote ultimately goes down to the last few days, then that looming deadline will persuade sceptical MPs or perhaps even Brussels to give in to her deal.